Hey, this is a not super long, but pretty long podcast. That's the what if. The what if that follows when things don't quite work out when you're planning your future. So it follows on a little bit from not another bloody goal-setting workshop, but it really goes into detail of when things don't quite work out. When you get those negative feelings or beliefs, limiting beliefs that just don't support us, and gives you the how to change things, to make things happen, so you can create your reality and make a wonderful life for you and then be the change you want to see in the world. Anyway, have a listen after this. I know you'll enjoy it, by the way. Hey, my friends, welcome. This is the Personal Development Unplugged podcast. What's it all about? Well, it's about improving ourselves, obviously personal development. It's with me, Paul Clough. Who am I? Well, I'm Paul Clough. I just said that. But what I do and have skills at or in is hypnosis, NLP, timeline therapy, and lots of other stuff. I teach the blooming stuff to everyone I can. Been doing it for years. But the thing about this podcast is it's sharing things that just work, deconstructing the things that are really difficult or made to appear difficult by people making them difficult. Maybe they want to keep them secret. I don't know. But we're going to deconstruct those type of things so we can use them for ourselves. And, as I say, self-develop. Get better in life. Get our goals, our dreams. Improve anything you want. The thing is, it's not just listening. There's things to do, because if you're just knowing this stuff, that's okay. But knowledge without doing, not really worth it, is it? So do, if you're listening, do, try, do the things that we go through, the processes, the hypnosis tracks. Because when you put the effort in, the return on your investment will be enormous. Anyway, that's what we do here.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, my friend, welcome back. Welcome back. So pleased to have you here for a conversation, a muse, as it were, because I guess this is like a part 2-ish or a part 3-ish of taking the anxiety from planning your future. You see, we had a little conversation about not another bloody workshop for goal setting. And I have to say, when I listen back to it, I'm a little proud of it. I think I covered a lot of steps. And I think I hopefully broke those steps down into steps that are achievable. They're realistic, all those smart things. But there is one thing, and it was a but in there, because I had written yet, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, but yet I've been thinking. Because that's what I do. Cloughie thinks a little bit, because as I said, I think we all are, aren't we? One of our worst critics. And I want to do my best here for me. First and foremost, I'm sorry, it's a really personal, selfish thing. I want to do the best here for me. But doing my best here for me means I have to do the best for you. So I thought to myself, was it enough? Was it enough? And the answer I came with, well, I'm not so sure. You see, did it address the what if? What are you talking about, Cloughie? The what if? Well, the what if is, what if it doesn't work? You see, I like to explain the why. Why is it important to you? Because if you know why a subject's important to you, you're going to listen deeply, aren't you? Because you know you're going to get something out of it. And then if I tell you what it is, and you go, now I understand. It's told me this is going to be important. Now it's telling me what it is in a bit more detail. And then I always like to tell you the how, because that's what a lot of people don't do. A lot of people might tell you the why. A lot of people might tell you, well, they mainly start with the what. Sometimes they don't even start with the why. But they very rarely tell you the how. And even more rarely, the what if it doesn't go right. And I thought to myself, no, I haven't done that. So I was trying to think, what are the things that the what if, or what would come in that box of what ifs? What would stop you from taking, that some people might think, are relatively simple steps? The steps to, planning, goal setting, creating your future, creating your reality, making things happen, having those goals and wishes come into your reality. What would stop them coming? Now, I think it happens to all of us. And I had a thought, well, one of the major things that would stop you doing something is having that limiting belief. Because wherever they come from experiences in the past, something's happened. And our unconscious mind, for the very best of intentions, comes up with a limiting belief so you don't fall into that again. So it could just be, I don't believe I can have it. Simple as that. Or maybe, let's think together, maybe I'm not worth it. I'm not worth it. Not good enough. Or maybe you get that one which accompanies things like the imposter syndrome. Who am I to think that I can have this? Who am I? I know some people will be, they will not take that step because who am I to think that I'm better than my friends, better than my family, better than my mum, my dad? Now there's a positive intention there, but it doesn't get the job done. It doesn't get that goal because you are worth it. You can do it. You just have to, but we have this limiting belief. So a little limiting belief like that could scupper your whole plans, stop you even starting. So I want you to think, if you haven't listened to that episode, not another bloody workshop, goal setting workshop, have a listen to that and then think, why am I not doing it? But not the why. But the why will give you something. Why will give you that little bit of a belief in there. So just ask, you could have just, I'm going to rewind that. Let's ask, why am I not doing that? What is my belief around that? About me achieving that goal, doing those steps, actually just embarking on this runway, as it were, and see if it comes up to things like, I'm not worth it, who am I? Things like that. You see, linked to that will be some negative emotions. What are they, Cluffy? Well, let's think together. One jumps out in my mind is like fear. Could be the fear of failure, could be the fear of bloody success. Because we've got experiences in the past, whether it's happened to us or happened to other people, remember? We take on beliefs and emotions from things that we see, not necessarily just experience. It could be guilt. And that guilt is, maybe you can imagine that feeling of guilty with, who am I? Who am I to expect to be better? There's that anxiety. The anxiety, which can be like a fear, but that anxiety of what if? That's just a few. And what other emotions do you think you could have? Maybe ashamed. That fear of failure, as I said, fear of success. What other things? There's loads of them, isn't there? I bet there's millions. But if you were to ask yourself, because one of the ways to do this is just as you think about not doing something, you have a feeling. Well, that feeling, you can either ask, well, what belief do I have about myself that makes this feeling so? Or what is this feeling? If I was to put a label on it, what would it be? Because you don't have to be right. Just ask your unconscious mind, what is it? You see, even linked to that, and this is the whole bloody problem sometimes, that your limiting beliefs are attached to negative emotions, which then spew out a load of, call it negative behaviors, such things as bloody procrastination, which is what we're talking about really, isn't it? Not starting, not finishing, because a lot of procrastination, we start 100%. We're like a, I just suddenly thought, an old manager of mine, you always used to say like a bat out of a gun, not a bullet out of a gun. He always used to say like a bat out of a gun and 99 times out of 80. What? Never mind. Bless him. I hope he's still around. Anyway, procrastination, be it in the beginning, the middle, or not ending. Or avoidance, which again is like a procrastination, but avoidance is not even looking to even start, I guess. And then you get those excuses. And I think excuses are like behaviours. You give reasons reasons to justify why you haven't started, why you have avoided, why you couldn't do it. Justifying those beliefs with those beliefs, justifying those emotions. These are excuses that hide and have those limiting beliefs and emotions inside of them. But you don't show the world. We don't even want to show ourselves sometimes. We know they're there, but we can hoodwink ourselves, can't we? We can actually believe those bloody excuses. We try to anyway. We try to believe those excuses, believe that. Or we even give ourselves bloody badges. I've heard people say, "Oh yeah, I'm such a great procrastinator." Well, that's nothing to be proud of, is it? But you've got wonderful skills. You see, a limiting belief is just something that is trying to protect you from something. Those emotions, negative emotions, are trying to protect you from something. And those behaviors are just the things that you do to protect yourself from something. All with, and you've heard me say it before, a wonderful positive intention. And you're going to say, well, how, Cluffy, can feeling bloody frightful, guilty, anxious, jealous, whatever, angry is another one, and having limiting beliefs that I'm not good enough, or I don't deserve this, or I'm not worth it, and have all these blooming excuses and things. How can that be so perfect, or not perfect? How can that have a positive intention? Well, because it protects you. Or it did. It did the very first time your unconscious mind came up with something, an episode in your life. Something happened. Sometimes people call it a significant emotional event. It doesn't have to be big and bad, but it's significant at that particular time for that younger you. And your best friend, your unconscious mind, did something that it could only do with the wisdom and experience that it had at that time. You're a different person now. You're not the same as them back then because you got more experiences, more learnings. Just, unfortunately, we don't use them. But this is the whole point. When we learn from it, we understand there's a conflict. I'll come into that a bit more deeply because I want to do that especially. But when you learn from these things, your unconscious mind will change. And the thing is, they're all tied together in a really unique way. They're going to be tied together in a way that is not the same as anybody else in the whole wide world, not that's existed before or right now or will exist in the future, because it's your unique permutation of limiting beliefs, negative emotions, and those behaviors. Because you are you. And I say unique because no one else has had your experiences. No one has walked your footsteps. And you see, these are all pretty powerful ways to stop you getting those dreams, those wishes, those wonderful goals, the things that you really want. And that's why, this is like the what if. This is the really, what if I don't start? What if I don't finish? What if I get this feeling? Why do I get this feeling? This belief. So we're going to, let me go into a different thing. Well, not a different thing. Can I tell you a story? I want to tell you maybe just a couple of stories to give you an idea of this positive intention. Yeah, the unconscious mind, the best friend, doing the best it can, but in total conflict with what it's trying to do, which is quite weird. But when your unconscious mind gets it, it changes. Because that's what I do with clients. When a client comes to see me, they're in conflict. They're in conflict. They don't feel good. They have a limiting belief, and they do some behaviors that they really don't want. And they just know how they want to be. You see, here's the thing. There was this guy. Guy came to see me, and he said, I need some confidence, Paul. Okay. Well, some people might just say, okay, well, let's put you in hypnosis and make you more confident. And that's like a do two. And it'll probably last for about as long as they go through the door. It's a crap way to work. So I said, well, let's do this properly. We started talking about how he felt unconfident. What was the context? Because people don't need confidence in everything. And he said, well, when it comes down to it, I need confidence in being able to speak to more than one person. Public speaking. And I got that because being the little introvert of me, I didn't like speaking to a lot of people. And yet I've spoken to an auditorium full of people. Sat, as I said before, sat on the stage there, told stories to hundreds of people. So I know it can be done. So we started talking about this, and I was talking about the feeling he had. Where was that feeling in his body? And you could feel it like it wasn't a fear, and it wasn't guilt. He said it's more of an embarrassment. I'm embarrassed about speaking in public. So in that case, you don't need confidence, do you? We just need, the embarrassment. I said, okay, fine. And do you know how you want to be? He said, well, yeah, of course I want to know how I want to be. I want to be able to speak in front of these people because it's all to do with my job. I'm going to get a promotion. And this promotion will mean that I have to speak to other people outside my work, but generally a lot of people inside my work. I said, do you know your stuff, by the way? Do you know your stuff? Do you know what you want to talk about? Do you know how you want to present? Do you know where you want to lead people? He said, oh, absolutely, Paul. I've got everything. I know it backwards, frontwards, sideways, upside down, you name it. I know everything about this subject. I'm passionate about it. It's just this embarrassment of actually standing up in front of people. So I went, okay. So got him to think about that feeling that he'd labelled embarrassment. And he said, well, isn't it strange? And it's never strange to me, but he said, isn't it strange? As I think about this feeling, a memory popped up. Okay then. So what was the memory? He said, well, I was at church and it was in like the choir. And I used to be, I wasn't very old and it wasn't really the true choir setting. And people were talking about me singing the lead. And I wasn't sure. And he said, what happened was, well, you see, that reminded me of another story. This guy came to see me and said, well, as you can tell, Paul, I stutter. So I said, okay, fine. And then we started talking about how he wanted to be. And it was quite strange because once he relaxed a little bit and started talking about how he wanted to be, how he wanted to converse with people, it just flowed out of his mouth because he forgot about the stuttering. I thought, okay. So we talked a little bit more about the emotions. And he said, well, I don't know. I'm not frightened. I'm not anxious. What is it? He said, you know what? I feel a little guilty. And he said, well, that doesn't make sense at all, does it? Because why would the feeling of being guilty, of guilt, be attached to the way I speak? And he's telling me this with perfect diction. It was amazing. Didn't tell him that. Not then, I told him later, but I just listened. And he communicated elegantly, eloquently of this guilt that he had and this feeling and this little belief that he had. And this was a little bit like, who am I? Who am I to speak this way? Fluently, that is. And we started talking about it, and I said, what I do to people, because I always know there's an emotion, a belief that's attached to this behaviour they want to change. To me, that's my belief, and that's the way I work. And as we're talking, getting deeper into that feeling and that belief, he said, isn't it strange? They always say that. All my clients say, isn't it strange? I've got this memory. My dad keeps popping into my mind. So I said, okay, well, what's the connection with stuttering? Stammering is another word for it. And he said, well, my dad stutters. I said, okay, fine. He said, what about your other siblings? Do you have siblings? He said, oh, yeah. I've got 2 brothers. So I said, well, how do they speak? He said, oh, again, he said, it's so lovely. He said, oh, yeah, they both speak absolutely perfectly. They can speak, well, forever. And I think, just like you now, but hey. And he said, yeah, but poor Dad, he stutters. And he said, can you get the intention there from guilt? You see, this is the thing about everything, I believe, has a positive intention. So everything around those two stories, there's a positive intention. Yet that positive intention was causing that person to feel embarrassed. That positive intention was causing that other person to stutter. Now, why would that happen? What would that positive intention be? You see, when we found that intention, and we found the intention was in direct conflict with what was actually happening, not public speaking, not stuttering, tiny little process, boom, it just disappeared. So, what happened? Well, the stuttering man said, well, I get it. I don't know how I missed it. I'm feeling guilty because I don't want to leave my dad behind. He stutters. Who am I? My brothers, they're doing their own thing. He'll be by himself. And I love my dad so much. I don't want him to be alone. I feel guilty. And we go, So there's this thing about guilt. And we said, well, what would your dad think about this? This is a little reframe. What would your dad think about this? Oh, he said, he would love me to speak. He loves me to bits and said, he wants the best for me. And I said, well, maybe it would be guilty. You'd feel guilty by not doing the best for yourself. To not, maybe, fulfilling your dad's wishes for you to be the best you can, to do whatever you want, which is to speak fluently, elegantly. By the way, just as you have been for the last fucking 20 minutes. And he went, wow, you're right. And we just then went into trance and spoke to his unconscious mind and just said, basically, do you recognize the conflict that you're creating? And in fact, you're creating more guilt by the stuttering. And if you let that go, you can make this man's father proud of him, being able to do all the things you want to do fluently, elegantly, eloquently, in everything. And it was as if the switch just went. He just turned over and he opened his eyes and he spoke perfectly, as best as we all can. But it was just understanding the conflict. Your unconscious mind was trying the best it can. He didn't want to leave his father, but actually creating the guilt that he felt guilty about. Then the man with the public speaking. I said, what was this memory then? He said, well, Paul, I told you that people were discussing me singing the lead. And instead of just asking me, would I like to sing it? Instead of asking me, would I do an audition? They didn't. They physically picked me up, put me up on a table, not a chair, on a bloody table in front of everybody. My parents there, everybody, so many different people were there, and told me to sing. And I got so embarrassed. My throat got tight. My throat's getting tight talking about it now, so I remember it now. His throat got tight. He said the words wouldn't come out. So tunes, anything wouldn't come out of my mouth. I froze with embarrassment. And I said to myself, I'd never want this to happen again. And now you think, unconsciously, yeah, that was pretty significant. Wasn't traumatic, but sort of traumatic for a youngster, yeah. But your unconscious mind goes, you know what? I never want to have that happen again. So if a circumstance or a context comes up in the future that could possibly put me into that situation of being embarrassed, then I'm going to stop you doing it. And I'll stop you doing it not only by feeling embarrassed, but I'm going to give you that fear, that guilt, that anxiety, whatever it is. Now, we said to the unconscious mind, but the thing is, you're now creating the one thing that you don't want to create in him, which is embarrassment, because he is now embarrassed about being at work. He knows his stuff. He will be safer being able to stand up in front of him, because he's going to have to do it. So either you're going to create that embarrassment by not allowing him to access everything he knows, be able to perform the way he knows he can, if you give him all the skills he needs, which he's got already. So that's the conflict. You're actually creating more conflict of the very thing you're trying to protect him from. And again, it was like turning on the switch or turning off the switch, whichever way you want to put it, because the unconscious mind went, to me, like a Simpsons, dull. So if I allow him to have all those skills, be able to speak in public, he will be safe. He will be far from embarrassed. In fact, he will feel confident. He will get the accolades. He will just feel so good about himself. And he'll have the most wonderful positive beliefs. And again, small hypnosis, boom, all done. So that was like just explaining how things that seem so negative are generally, well, the conflict that goes on. So how do you do that, Cluffy? That's what you were going to say, weren't you? How do you do that? Well, to me, let's keep it really simple, because in simplicity, there's genius. Good old Albie Einstein. I'm virtually repeating that virtually every episode. Ask, because I ask their unconscious mind, what's your intention? What are you trying to do for them? Or I get them to ask themselves, my clients, ask inside, what are you trying to do for me? What are you trying to do that's positive? And it'll be through protection, through whatever, something like that. So just take some quiet time. Stop, pause, go inside, go to that feeling and go, what are you trying to do for me? And have me feel this way. What are you trying to do for me that's positive through feeling this way? And it's going to be, I guess, a form of safety. Everything tends to revolve around keeping you safe in one form or other. Although, like, being embarrassed is keeping you away from that is a safety thing. It's not nice. All those negative feelings are not nice. So therefore, keeping you away from them is a form of safety. So what are you trying to stop me feeling? And generally, this is the weird thing, as you saw with both of those examples, the feelings they had were the exact same feelings that their unconscious mind was trying to protect them from, which generally is the way it goes. I can't say 100%, but as a generalization, which is nearly 100%, most of my clients seem to have a conflict. The one thing that their unconscious mind is trying to protect them from is the way they feel right now. So it's like, if I'm going to try to, let's say embarrassment or not to feel failure, we tend to have a belief of things like, I'm stupid. And the people who think that, they bloody excel in everything they do, because they don't do anything which is not 100%. They're perfectionists, and it takes so much stress in their lives because they don't want to be a failure. Yet everything they do, they feel a failure, even though they've probably excelled well above what everyone can do. The people I work with, they're doctors, they're surgeons, they're whatever. They are so skillful, doing the best jobs way above anybody else, yet they still feel they're stupid. Now, can you see that? Positive intention. I don't want to be a failure. So what I'm going to do is make you work so bloody hard because you think you're stupid. So you do excel. So you're never a failure, but you always feel a failure. Now, what would it be like in that particular instance if they had a better belief? I've got this. It's okay. I can do my best. And they started to access, instead of those extreme perfectionist type behaviors, they started to just access their skills, to be calm, to be maybe curious, to have that competence, not necessarily confidence, but competence, which will grow into confidence in themselves. That's the basis of my Supreme Inner Confidence course. I know I've called it Supreme Inner Confidence, but it's all about being competent and then confident in your competence, which then grows and grows in such a wonderful way that you'll never then be a failure or an embarrassment. But can you see that conflict there? So look at the beliefs you have. You'll notice they're like the opposite. Or telling you, if you think I'm stupid, that is a failure, isn't it? But so many people have, and it comes from so tiny little things in the past where their unconscious minds, I don't want you to feel that feeling, that negative feeling of failure. So I'll give you this wonderful, empowering, I'm stupid belief and make you work 100 times more harder than anybody else to be the best you can. And then, sometimes they even have they put the stress on themselves by saying, but what if I fail? Now that puts even more pressure on. Now, when you have those negative beliefs and feelings, yeah, you can do your best. But bugger me, that's so tiring. Have you ever done anything that you just go in the flow? You don't think about success or failure. You just know that you're going to get the right answer. You're going to know that you're going to perform at that level. It's easy, isn't it? Even if it's hard, it's bloody easy. So when you think about it, the alternative of being a perfectionist is things like how much better it would be to perform calmly, focused, being happy, attentive, content. So you see, if we can show better alternatives to our unconscious mind, and that the beliefs and emotions are in direct conflict with what your unconscious mind is trying to do for you, then the unconscious mind has to change. That's my belief. Your unconscious mind has to change when it realizes what it's doing is not working, because we have a thing in NLP called the prime directives of the unconscious mind. And effectively, the prime directive of your unconscious mind is to keep you alive, to keep you safe, to keep you well, to heal you when you're not good, your body needs healing, but it has to do things to keep you safe, and having a conflict is not keeping you safe. Those negative emotions are now no longer being a positive thing. They're actually making you, if you can think about it, in the long term, will make you unwell. Anxiety is not good. Fear is not good. Those limiting beliefs are not good. So we just need to say, well, just make it very simple there, maybe too simplistic. But if we can get your unconscious mind to realize what it's doing is a wonderful intention, has a wonderful intention. We want that intention, but what it's actually doing to try to get that intention is in complete conflict, complete 100%, 180 degrees to what it really wants, has to change. So I can leave it there, couldn't we? Now you know. But the thing is, we haven't done the how. We've done the important bits. We've done the what's, but we haven't done the how. How do you do that, Cluffy? How do you get your unconscious mind to realize that what it's doing is in conflict that it really wants for you? Well, I'm just going to throw a few out there for you, because you can do it in the way that, as I said, first of all, you can ask what your intention. Ask, what are you trying to do for me? Maybe just meditate a little bit. Maybe just quieten down. Maybe just breathe, stop and pause. But then I like to do that with my puzzle book. We've talked about my puzzle book. I even showed my puzzle book in my last video that I did on the newsletter. I showed my puzzle book. My puzzle book is a book that just is for things that puzzle me, which is pretty obvious. Things I want to muse about, things I want to think about with me and my unconscious mind. So I can ask that, I actually write out, here's my feeling. Ask out, what's your intention? What are you trying to do for me? And I listen. And things might not come the way in superb 100% clarity, but I write down what I get. But I can also think, well, how do I feel? How do I feel about this thing? So I feel afraid to fail. Think of that embarrassment of that speaker, or that guilt of the guy who stammered and stuttered. I feel guilty. That gives me, and you'll get some intuition. Now, but even if where that intuition is not quite 100% there, you can actually ask, well, when I feel this way, what do I believe about myself? And then normally things like, I'm or I'm not. I'm not good enough. Or I'm stupid. Now we start to put those two together with this puzzle book. Just writing down things, making notes, mind mapping them. I love the mind map because that leaves me either more legs to add or legs to add to the things I write down. So it's always allowing my unconscious mind more room to think, to add on, to be more subtle. So I'm feeling this way. I'm believing I'm doing this. And what is it, the one thing I'm trying to do? Well, yeah, I could see it's pulling me back from doing that because I don't want to get embarrassed. Or I need to make sure I cannot fail. I'm afraid to fail. There's an issue here. That we're coming to the root cause of the issue. Now, what we need to do to really convince the unconscious mind that, yeah, you see, it'll understand there's a bit of conflict, a little bit of a conflict-ish, because I'm sure in my sort of experience, is as if your unconscious mind goes, yeah, but it's still working. This works because you do it 100%. You never fail. But you say, well, actually, there's probably a better way to do this. And the better way is, again, maybe puzzle book or just think, how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel in this context? So the guy who had the problem with the public speaking, how do you want to feel? He was saying to me, well, I want to be able to just stand up in front of people, connect with them because they're my colleagues. They're my peers. They're rooting for me. They want to hear what I've got. So I want to be there and connect with them. And I want to be able to just access that information because it doesn't matter how I say it, really. I can have pauses. I can go back to my notes and things like that because that's not the thing. It's how I get that information across. Do I get all the right information across? And I know if I did it with a bit more confidence and a bit more clarity, yeah, because I always say to people, okay, that's fine. But what if it was exactly the way you wanted it? Even if you didn't think it was possible, how would it be? So, well, if it was, I'd walk out there, I'd connect with them, I'd go to things like, hey, everybody, we're here together and I want to explain this to you. And I'd do it with great competence. I'd be confident in me, not overconfident. I'd be confident in me. I said to the guy who stammered, how would you like to be? He said, I'd like to just be able to talk without ever thinking about mucking up those words. I said, that's how you don't want to be. How do you want to be? He said, I just like to flow. I'd like to be able to breathe. I'd like to be able to just connect and speak, as you said, elegant and eloquent. And to feel then I connect with people with my words, and my words described how I feel or what I want to explain. Now, each one of those means, can you see a picture there? Could you see their picture that they would make in their mind? Could you? Because that's the one way of doing it. You see, we've got to tell and show the unconscious mind how we think would be the ideal way, one of the best ways. Because it can get better. It's not the only way. This is just one way of doing this goal, doing the thing you want to do, using the one skill that we've all got, that we have in abundance, that we don't have to learn to do because we can do it in perfecticity, if that's a word. Imagineering, using our imagination. And all we have to do, so we've got the work that we've done in our puzzle book, and now we just have to close our eyes. You can keep them open if you want, but a few distractions around. But people daydream with their eyes open, don't they? Mm-hmm. So whichever way suits you, you begin to see yourself, first of all, over there doing it. Exactly the way you want it. So as if you were in the audience listening to yourself if you were a public speaker. Or listen to yourself communicate and connect elegantly and eloquently. And then just pull away and see yourself over there doing it just the way you want it to be done. The best you can think of, the best you can imagine. And when you're seeing it just the way you think you want it, flow out into your body. That one out there, the one that's doing it, that you over there that's doing it. And look in through your eyes. See what you'll see. Hear what you'll hear. So let's do this now. Let's just slow this down. If that's okay. As long as you're not having to do anything that needs your attention, driving a car, driving machinery, whatever that is. Just imagine if there's something you want to be able to do better. That's all it is. Doing something better, isn't it? Just close your eyes for a moment. If not, you need to rewind, by the way. Just make a point, listen to it, disappear, come back. But if you're going to do it with me now, just close your eyes. See yourself over there, doing the very thing that you dream of. Doing it in such a wonderful way. Your way. Elegantly, eloquently. See yourself and the way you move when you're doing it. Maybe you want to be in the audience and see yourself from that perceptual position from another person's point of view, and then come and look from above, taking a meta position and really see yourself down there, excelling in every way. And as you see it and you hear it from over here, you'll get a feeling, and then allow yourself to float out of your body now. Imagine floating into that you over there. And as you float inside their body, your body, see what you'll see as you perform in this wonderful way. See those pictures that you make in your mind when you're this competent and confident and enjoying the success. Hear your voice. Notice how it resonates in your throat, your chest, your tummy. How wonderful everything, your body just moves in such a way, the way you breathe. Notice the belief you have. What do I believe about myself right now? And as you notice all of that, feel the feeling of doing it now. Really just become aware of that feeling. And as you have that feeling in your full awareness, just magnify it, make it more stronger, more intent. And as you do that, maybe make a physical anchor by squeezing a finger and a thumb together. Remember what finger and thumb. And say a word that really resonates with this feeling. And you do it both together. So you say the word. Feel the feeling of that unique trigger, that unique anchor that you're setting. The two will now be instantaneously connected. And then let it go. And then feel that feeling again. Make it even more intense. Finger and thumb together. Say that wonderful power word that means so much. Boom. And then let it go. And you can do now you just come back into your own body, back to where we are. Open your eyes. And now if you have, squeeze that finger and thumb together. Say that word. How does it feel? Just to make sure. If it's not as strong as you like, do this process again. Just repeat it. And you see, well, now you know that belief you have. You know how good it feels. You're setting it up anyway, but just say those words inside just very quickly. This or something better. And then, we haven't finished yet, by the way. This is just one little part of the puzzle, from the puzzle book, as it were, to show your unconscious mind a better way, a way that's aligned to its positive intention, that is congruent to its positive intention. So now you say to yourself, well, what would it mean to me to be this way? What would it really mean to me? And I like to write this down, by the way, but you can think it, but write it down is the best way. And you'll come up with an answer. Well, it'll mean this. And when you get this answer, that first answer, then say to yourself, well, what will that mean to me when I'm that way? And you'll go, oh, well, if I got that, it would mean this. And then you say, okay, now I've got that. What would that second answer mean to me if I got that? And you get a third removed part of how important it is to your value. And when you feel that, you go, wow, I didn't realize how much it means to me. In fact, it means even more to me to be this way, to have this success. You might want to look at another context where this would apply to, and then say, well, and the context might be, what would it mean to me in my relationship when I'm this way? You know, when I come from work and I'm that successful, if there's a guy who was presenting, what would it mean to me when I come home to my partner, my wife, my husband? Would it mean that? And what would that mean to me? And what would that mean to me? What would it mean with my family? And what will that mean to me? And then what will that mean to me? What will it mean in my career? What will it mean to me in my relationships, my friends? And what will that mean to me? And what will that answer mean to me? Each time, 3 times removed. So you ask the same question 3 times. What will it mean to me? And what will that mean to me? And what will that mean to me? And you'll notice in so many different contexts, it's those ripples. You never know how far the ripples of change will go. But you're starting to measure and understand the ripples of change from making this one change in one context, how it's going to change in all different contexts: family, career, relationships, your friends, your personal time, your spirituality, your health. 3 times, every time. And you're going to get such an internal feeling of what it really means to me. Your unconscious mind going, bloody hell. So all I've got to do is be this way. And fire the anchor. Say the word. Yeah, that way. And keep the intention. Keep that intention to keep you safe, because this way keeps me safer, keeps me better, and has such a wonderful effect on all different areas of my life. And then when you go back to that planning, not another goal workshop or things like that, when you just imagine planning it out, planning what you want to do, scheduling, but doing those small steps. But the thing is, and this is another bit of the how which they don't tell you about, just before you do that, you sit down, you're going to say, right, I'm going to start imagining doing that scheduling. I'm going to imagine doing those steps. Before you do that, before you start that imagineering, boom, fire the anchor. Say that power word, the anchor word. Say that belief out loud if you can. See that successful you over there again, saying this or something better, and then commit to schedule it. Schedule it in your diary, on your phone, on your on your computer, whatever you do, as many, in your puzzle book, in your mind map book, in your dream book. Schedule it, commit to it. Not tomorrow, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Put a time, a date, block your time out. If you want to commit it to people around you so they know you're doing it too, if that gives you more commitment, whatever you need to do. And then when you really go to do it, there's another thing I thought of. You could even listen to that episode again, the first one, and then this one. But the episode about actually all the steps that you would do to really have a wonderful plan and how to plan your future. And then just as you go to do that, each time, what do? You think of the goal. You think of how you want to be, what it will mean to you, that value. Fire the anchor by pressing that finger and thumb together and saying that word, that anchor word. And then what do? Well, you go and fucking do it, don't you? You just go and do it. And then what do? You review it, by the way. You then have to review because you want to learn to make it even better. You can even say as you're doing it, this or something better. But because you've fired that emotion inside you with that wonderful, powerful belief, you're setting your state. Not only setting your intention, you're setting your state. And you've also got your unconscious mind's alignment, congruence. And therefore, it's got to let go of that old conflict because now it knows there's a better way. And every step along the way, just remember, fire off the anchor, say that belief, say that anchor word, boom, and go do that one thing. Always seeing that end result of how you want to be. And then maybe, just maybe, you can take time out. Because we talked about how hard you should work. Take some time out to reflect. And reflect in a way that says, thank you. Thank you to your unconscious mind. Because when your unconscious mind knows how grateful you feel for doing that work, gratefulness becomes a bit soppy, but loving ourselves. And when your unconscious mind, this is my belief, when your unconscious mind knows how grateful you are for doing the things that you really enjoy and feeling safe and honouring the intention and thanking your unconscious mind, your best friend goes, well, you thought that was good. Get ready for the next one. We're going to do even better. Whoa! Isn't that awesome? So, hey, that's what we're going to do. And that is the what if. Now, I think we've covered that what if really deeply. If you need some help, what are you going to do? Well, if you really need some help with some of those beliefs and things like that, do go and see someone like me, or me, but someone like me, someone who's a bloody good hypnotist, who does NLP, does timeline therapy, those type of things. Well, I just love the things that I do because I know they get results. But someone like that, get one-to-one help. This is a coach. but someone with the real experience of allowing your unconscious mind to realize it's in conflict and find better ways. You could listen to some of the processes in the free 50 plus hypnosis and NLP processes that I have on my paulcloughonline.com it's not a podcast at all. That part is a web page. And you go there, you put in paulcloughonline.com/podcast, sign up, you're into my monthly newsletter, so you might even get to then see my puzzle book and things like that. But also you get access to those 50 plus processes, hypnosis tracks. So you could pick the one you want to set your state, maybe, to see your goal, to have a well-formed outcome, all that stuff. It's all there for you. So even if you don't do one-to-one, you might do that. You might actually go to paulcloughonline.com and look through the program or the programs. The one I love and the one I won't say put more heart into, but the one I felt I got the most into was the Supreme Inner Confidence program. And this is the type of thing that it just gels so well with. So you might want to explore that. And if you sign up, you get that big discount. But hey, massive discounts there for you. So have a look at that. If there's anything that you need, that you think that I could help you with through a podcast episode, email me, feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. Tell you all this every week, but do that. You get a personal reply from me, and we'll see what we can do, because your questions, as I say, you'll be echoing other people's questions. And it's the way that we learn, by getting into this integrated field of learning, by sharing. And talking about sharing, here we go. Please share this episode and the episode before and every episode. Share the podcast, Personal Development Unplugged podcast. Because when we do this, yes, it makes the podcast grow, which gives my little ego the old massage that it needs sometimes. But more importantly, it means that we are changing reality. We are changing the world, because everyone who can strive to be a little bit better every day is going to make this little old planet Earth a much more wonderful place to be. We start in our local environment, and then we build it and build it and build it. And then we become that butterfly that flaps on one side of the world, and we become a storm of change, of power. Not power, personal power, that's a better way to put it, of personal power, personal development, unplugged. There you go. And if you liked it, send me an email too. Tell me, critique, if there's something that you feel I could do differently. I'd love to hear from you. Feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. And lastly, if you could put a review up, Apple, Play, iTunes, they're probably the strongest. If you could put something up for that, it would be awesome. Send me a little screenshot of it, because I don't normally I can't find them sometimes. But if you send me a little screenshot, I'll give you a nice little reply. So just send it via that email address. Anyway, I think we're done. I got to stop, I got to pause, and I got to recharge. But hey, have more fun than you can stand. This or something better. Anyway, my friends, it's time to fly away. Bye-bye now.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.